Good afternoon. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Chromebook information that you will need if your student is in 2nd through 5th grade. Today we have Buffy Blodgett, principal,
Linda Williams, assistant principal,
and Angie Forrester, technology specialist.
So Ms. Blodgett, can you tell us why we are actually going to a one-to-one device?
Well, we would like to have a more personalized approach that can be individualized for students so that they can have instruction through their Chromebook. Ms. Forrester, why do we choose Chromebooks and not laptops?
Well, Chromebooks have a really great battery life, for number one. They can last up to 8 hours on a full charge. Because we're a Google Apps for Education district, once a student logs into a Chromebook, they're automatically logged into all of their documents, their slides, their forms, and Google Classroom. So it's really easy for them to use their Chromebooks with all of the initiatives that Fayette County has.
I also understand that it can help students with Nearpod, Google Classroom, Dreambox, and all those other kinds of interactive lessons. And it can help students and teachers with organization.
One of the other really great things is that Chromebooks are very secure and they don't require any antivirus software. So they'll update automatically and it's not anything that a student will have to do manually.
Wow, this sounds like a really good thing. Can you tell me when students in 2nd and 4th grade or 5th grade, when are they actually going to receive these?
Well, we're going to start off with our parent night on February 5th. However, if you're not able to attend, we're hoping you'll watch this video. And then the next day we will begin Rollout. Each student will come with their class to meet with Mrs. Forrester. And what we'll do is we'll have a little lesson along with giving out the Chromebooks. So they'll have a digital citizenship lesson and use of using a Chromebook and their responsibilities. And on Tuesday, we'll start with 5th grade and we'll slowly work back until we get through all the 2nd grade classes on Friday. The cool thing is that they are actually a 2-in-1 device. So they can be used as a traditional Chromebook or they can be flipped around and used as a tablet.
They're also touchscreen. So when we're doing activities in Nearpod where the students are drawing on the screen, it's going to make all of that a lot easier for them. They don't have to draw with the trackpad.
Sounds like a lot of responsibility for students, but I think if they charge them at home and they come to school with their Chromebooks charged every morning, then they're not going to have any problems. So if they just get into a routine about charging and where it goes and all that kind of thing, it's going to be okay. But, I'm really thinking, what happens if a student doesn't bring their Chromebook?
Well, I agree, Ms. Williams. I have a 3rd grader, and I'm a little worried. What if he forgets it at the house? Do I need to call my husband and have him rush up here and bring it to him, or what's he going to do that day, Ms. Blodgett?
Absolutely not. Your job should not change at all as a parent. The job and the responsibility of the child is to be in charge of their Chromebook. And guess what? It kind of goes along with our Leader in Me initiative, taking ownership of their own responsibilities and their own devices. So it is the job of the child to take it home, make sure it's charged, and return it to school. If they forget it at home, it's a natural consequence. They won't be able to use it. If we save them and come up and bring it to them every time that they forget it, they won't learn anything. So the whole goal of this is to teach the child to be responsible, take it home, make sure they're charged, and then bring it back the next day. It's okay if they forget it. We will make instruction continue. It will not stop. They just will have to bring their Chromebook the next day. All right, ladies, so what's important, these kids, they're going to be taking home a Chromebook and they need to take it to their home, which is different than a school setting. What's important for the kids to know?
I think it's really important for them to know not to eat or drink while they're doing their homework or using the Chromebook. To protect it from their little sister or little brother. Definitely from their dog. It would be really hard to have a note, "My dog ate my Chromebook."
That would not be good.
Yeah, they might need to really do that. Of course, we've already talked about keeping it charged. Store it on a flat surface, but not the floor. Why do you think we shouldn't store it on the floor, Ms. Forrester?
Because I know with the amount of rustling and running around that goes on at my house, that Chromebook would get stepped on if it was on the floor. So I think I might make a charging station or someplace where the kids can always put it so that it's safe.
Absolutely, and it's probably not a good idea to leave it in a vehicle, especially with our extreme temperatures in Georgia.
Right.
Hot temperatures. That isn't good for a device.
And cold temperatures sometimes.
Lately,
There
yes.
you go. I think our Chromebooks, though, come with some really cool accessories.
Yes, what's very nice about it is that they're going to come with this carrying case for all students. It will also have an identification label and a charging card. Each grade level will have a different color identification label that they will attach to their carrying case. What's nice about the case is that the Chromebook can remain in the case at all times unless they are flipped over and used as a tablet. And there's even a special pocket on the back of the case where they can store their charger so that they won't lose their charger. Ms. Forrester, tell us about the digital citizenship lessons that our students have already had at Peeples.
We have been working on digital citizenship since the beginning of the school. We knew that we were going to have Chromebooks eventually, but even though we didn't have them at the beginning of the year that we were going to take them home, it was important that they use the Chromebooks responsibly while they were in school. And that's just going to become even more important while they're taking them home. So at a minimum, the students participate in 4 digital citizenship lessons a year. But that doesn't count the little times that the teachers talk to them and they pull in the leader in me and they remind them to make smart choices. But we have formal discussions about internet safety and digital footprint. And towards the end of the year, we're going to also be talking about cyber.
Those are very important things for students to learn, especially in this day and age. And this doesn't even just go with our Chromebooks. This can also go for personal devices that are at home, correct?
Absolutely. They need to also make sure that they're making really smart choices when they are on a tablet or on their phone, because everything that they do is going to be linked to them for a very long time.
What are some things that our parents need to do to help our students be responsible?
I think one of the big things is they're going to need to make sure that they have read the contract and that they sign that and get that back to us. There's also a lot of good information in Peeples Elementary School Chromebook Handbook. So they can certainly do that. We can send out the link so the parents can see that online. I also like Common Sense Media. Ms. Forrester, you explained it to me at the beginning of the year, and I just thought this was a great site for parents. Can you tell us more about that?
Common Sense Media is a website for parents who have children who have grown up as digital natives. So our kids are so much more involved in technology than we probably ever were. So a lot of parents may not be sure, what do I need to be talking to my child about? What do I need to look at? Is this okay for them to do? Is this not okay for them to do? Common Sense Media has discussion starters where you can sit down and bring up a topic to your child and talk to them about some of the choices that they're making online. But in addition to that, they also have resources for parents. For example, if your child wants to go see a movie and you're not sure if that movie is going to be appropriate or not, you can look that up on Common Sense Media and it will tell you reviews and it will tell you exactly what happens in the movie, what is said, what the rating is. And the same goes for games and music. You can look all of that up too.
That's really cool. That's definitely a good tool for our parents to use. And how do you access that?
We actually have a link to that on our website. So if you go to Peeples Elementary website, you can find a link to Common Sense Media in the quick links.
Awesome. Thanks, Ms. Forrester. Also, it's real important that the kids realize that this is an instructional tool. It's like a textbook, right?
It is like a textbook, and we're going to talk more a little bit later about the different types of firewalls and filtering systems that we have put in place so that your students are protected from places that they shouldn't go. But it is a tool, and it's not a toy.
And our students can always ask questions to their teachers, to the counselor, to Ms. Forrester, or Ms. Blodgett, or even myself.
Absolutely. What are some tips that we could share with our parents?
I always say in my house, and you guys probably do too, that technology is a privilege. And that privilege has to be approved by a parent or guardian. And in the digital citizenship discussions I have with the students here, I say that rule number 1 before you go online is that you have to ask a parent first. So I've been preaching that to them since the beginning of school, is that anytime they get on a device, they should be asking a parent.
That's very important in my house. We make sure that no kids in our household are ever on devices without our knowledge. And another thing that I do in my house that helps is that I keep all devices with me in my room, not necessarily out in public, so that the students can have the devices at any time.
And I know in my house when my boys were growing up, we always did, if you were using technology, you had to be in the same room as an adult. So that way I could always look at their screen, I could monitor what they were doing and what pages or sites that they were on, and it just becomes a safeguard. we also set a lot of limits on how much screen time they could have.
Right, because kids have other devices they like to play with, like Nintendo Switch or cell phones or iPads. And so our goal is not to increase their screen time. This tool is used for instruction only.
All right, so this kind of leads into talking about what do we have in place as safeguards as a district?
Well, it's really important to note that the district did not just suddenly decide to implement Chromebooks in a one-to-one environment for our students. They've been having talks about this with principals and district leaders for years about what we could do to make this a success in Fayette County schools. So they have really, really thought this out well and put in a lot of policies and procedures and safeguards to make sure that our students will really benefit from this instructionally.
So what is Classroom Orchestrator?
Classroom Orchestrator is really, really cool. Basically, what it allows is for the teacher to be able to view all of the student screens in the classroom as they are working. And the teacher can actually take over the kids' Chromebooks if she needs to. So this is actually even a step up from what we currently can do. Because right now as a teacher, all I can do is take laps around the classroom. I'm constantly walking and the teachers are constantly walking around, but you can't have eyes on everybody all at one time. With Classroom Orchestrator, you can.
That's cool.
So this is like when I've had a problem with my computer at home and I call that helpline and they ask me permission if they can take over my computer, and all of a sudden the mouse and things can see on the screen is moving or it's going to a different screen. Is that what you're telling me they can do?
It pretty much is.
Wow.
The only difference is that you have to give permission. One of the things that we do need to kind of point out is that with the district Chromebooks, there is no expectation of privacy on the student's part. So their Chromebook can be taken at any time by a faculty member and looked at to make sure that they've been doing what is appropriate. And their teachers can look on their computer screen using Classroom Orchestrator at any point in time to make sure what they are doing is appropriate.
So tell us about the firewall that they have provided for these Chromebooks.
Well, we have a pretty robust firewall on our wireless network here at school on FCBOE Guest. And the wonderful thing is that that firewall will follow your student. So not even just at school. If your student takes the device and uses it at Starbucks or uses it at your house, the sites that we block at school are still blocked on that device regardless of the physical location of your child.
So no matter where I go, that firewall is going to follow me.
Absolutely. However, we want to make sure that students are still monitored while they're at home.
Right, because some things might accidentally still get through that.
It's impossible to protect everything. We learn about a threat and we block it, and then the next day there may be 3 or 4 things that we're just waiting to get ahead of. Well, what if a Chromebook is broken? What if something happens to it accidentally?
And you know, there's going to be those things that come up, but we have the ability to replace that Chromebook through warranties and other kinds of insurance.
Right. The Always Learning program is really neat because I actually have a set of Chromebooks on site. So if something happens to a student's Chromebook, again, this is accidental damage, or if the mouse stops working, I have a Chromebook that I can check out to the students and that they can use until their Chromebook is repaired.
Very good.
So I know it's hard to believe, but what if there's non-accidental damage to a Chromebook? Like if something is intentionally broken, or if my student loses it, or it's stolen. What's going to happen then is that you will be responsible for fines that are outlined in the FCBOE Chromebook agreement if something happens that is not an accident. So if it is lost, or if a student gets angry and throws it, something that they deem as non-accidental, then the parents will have to be responsible for the fine. However, there is other insurance that you can get if you just want a little bit more peace of mind.
And the optional insurance covers several things like accidental damage, or if the Chromebook is stolen, or the screen gets cracked because someone steps on it at home, or if you have a power surge through a lightning storm. So this is a great thing for our parents that they can purchase, but this is all optional. And it is about how much a year?
It is $15.76.
So parents will receive more information where they can sign up on an online portal for this optional insurance, correct?
Yes, and we'll send that out in an email so that you can link directly to that website.
If you have any questions, our email addresses are listed. Please feel free to contact any one of us or the classroom teacher. We would be happy to help.
Or if you'd like more information, you're welcome to join us on February 5th at 9 o'clock a.m. and at 5 o'clock p.m. for another informational session similar to this one.
If you have questions that you would like to have answered immediately, you can click on this link that will take you to a form that will allow you to ask a question, and you will receive an answer within 48 hours. We also will have a frequently asked questions document that you can look at, and we're going to add to that every single day. So every time we get a question, we're going to put it on our frequently asked questions information, and you can see that right here.
Remember, all questions are important, so don't feel like that you can't ask a question. We are very excited about this initiative through Fayette County Schools, and we think it's going to be a great addition to Peeples Elementary.